All right.
Yes.
We
Okay.
are.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. And
Good morning,
to
Beena.
And welcome to another live. Today's thought. Just before coming on this live, I was thinking about limits of goodness. Do we really have to have any limits of goodness? Or do they really exist? Or it is just like a very open, abstract thing without any limitation, without any boundaries. If it is, then where comes the appropriateness, capital A, appropriateness? Because everything for me, every ideology from ancient times till now, the modern one, everything makes sense if it is appropriate.
Yeah.
And also I feel that, okay, it needs to be about the goodness too, which I personally feel I need to learn.
Yeah.
That sometimes you don't put, you just some people just carried away with their own thinking that, okay, oh yes, this is something needs to be done, and okay, this is what I'm doing, and we don't think of other people, their liking, disliking, and their priorities, which is not appropriate. But who is not appropriate? Thing. Okay, someone who is just doing things, and or someone who is just keeping their things personal. It is, I think that they both are appropriate. And that was a big question. It is a big question still for me. Because appropriateness is a magical key. It's a master key to everything.
Yeah.
But I feel that the good, when it comes to goodness, even appropriateness gets a bit behind. Not very much, but just a bit behind. Sometimes you just do things without even thinking of it, that okay, it is appropriate or not. And it can create, not necessarily, but it can create some friction, some stress, or some problems for others. And they must be they would be absolutely right and appropriate in their own things. It is not about like, oh, well, it's getting bad or not good or right or wrong, nothing. But just the idea of goodness and the limitation of goodness. This is something I want Syl to discuss today. And the second thing I was thinking, I have been observing, and I have seen this many times. Like myself, I was following some people, not regularly, but I never subscribe to their channels. I never support them in other way openly. And that was something I feel bad about. And I said, oh, why not? Why not just do this? Is there any restriction, hesitation involved into that? I'm not. I don't want to accept that I'm following them. I'm learning from them, or I don't want to acknowledge their moreness. What actually?
No.
Okay, the on surface reason for me was like, yeah, I will get notification all the time, but I still get a notification every time. Okay, do they have some controversial reputation? Okay, at least two of the people, I do like to listen to them, though I don't agree with them on many concepts, many ideas they have, but still I do like them. And it is very much possible, even if you don't agree with someone, I do follow some people, they're very controversial in their thinking. But do I really subscribe to all their perspectives? No. But what I like about them is something different. And I do acknowledge that. But I was not following them openly. This is something I was like, why? I am very scrupulous about my news feed. That is one reason. But the other reason was also my ego. And I don't want to acknowledge. And the second thought was the fear of that, oh, if I will do this, and then everybody will know that I'm doing this, and then I have to explain myself again and again. that, okay, I don't like them, I don't subscribe to their ideology, but I do like them. It's a very complex thing for some people to understand, even when they are very mature, but it's still, it's really a hard time for me to communicate even with my friends. If I like someone, it doesn't mean that I am subscribing to their whole ideology. No,
Yes. Yes.
completely not agree with them. Sometimes just 5% of their whole thing. But still, I do like them because they have so much honesty with their own thinking. They are honest with.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
hypocrites. They're not hiding, or they have some other skills. They have some other abilities, which really, really, really inspiring for me. Like the way they conduct themselves, the way they elucidate things. Even the ideology itself is not appropriate for me, but the way they are doing is amazing. The way, so I really appreciate the work they have been doing on themselves.
Yeah.
The amount of energy they have been investing in themselves. I really like that. I do appreciate them. Though,
Yeah.
whenever we get a chance to discuss our things, I will not agree on like most of their things. No. But I do have very strong filters in my mind. It's very strong, really. I was amazed by my own ability. If I don't want to acquire anything, no one in this world can actually make me convinced to this idea.
Wonderful.
This is a very strong thing in me. If
Yeah.
if I don't want
Yeah.
to, no one can convince me to this. Only the logic, only the sensibility, only my own
Correct.
understanding.
And that's how it should be. That's absolutely essential. It's critical. It's
Yes.
critical.
So
Otherwise,
even
we are too easily influenced and corrupted. Yeah.
exactly. So I'm not very easily into kind of a person. That's why I do dare to go even people completely different mindset than me, and I have no problem. In my education, I have been in communication with people who were atheists. What? They were very dear friends. People of different religion, Jews, I love them. They're very dear friends, Christians, Buddhists, naturalists, Hindus, Parsis, Baha'is. I have so many varieties and they are amazing people. Do I subscribe to their ideology? No. Do they subscribe to my ideology? No, they don't need to.
Right.
But
Right.
we are very
Right.
friends. I never feel that, okay, I never feel threatened by anyone's ideology that I will get influenced by that. No, never. So when it's to really appreciating and acknowledging the moreness, I think it's a good gesture. It is a gesture. When we accept that, universe will accept and will show gestures towards us also. Because we will work on our ego. When we will do this, we will work on our ego. It's an ego thing. In my case, it was an ego thing also. And a fear. Two things. Fear that I have to discuss with everyone. I have to explain myself. I have to justify my actions to all my friends. That was the thing. And I don't like to justify it. I don't like to explain it to my friends that why I'm liking something, because I never question their likings and dislikes. Never. At least not deliberately. I never do that. So that was the fear. My laziness. Oh, I need to go to all the long discussions into that. Maybe I feel that, okay, I will not be efficient enough to explain myself properly. So that could also be a fear. So that's why I feel that, okay, now I need to challenge myself and openly appreciate and acknowledge the moreness in people who have completely diverse ideology than me. No problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. It's a
There is a potential problem.
yes.
Keep going. Keep going. I'll come back to it. Keep going.
That's it. Because I want you to illustrate for me.
All right. So just to recap for me, because I lost a few parts there because I was focusing on the sharing and doing stuff. So,
Okay, so the first thing is that what's involved when we don't acknowledge the moreness. when we won't openly acknowledge. We see the moreness, but and they are, most of the people I have observed, they are very good people. They see the moreness, but still something just stop them. Something just push
Hang
them
on,
away,
hang
and they
on.
don't.
They don't want to acknowledge our moreness, or you don't want to acknowledge their moreness. You need to be a bit more clear here.
No, whoever is in this position, I'm just saying it for myself that, okay, when we don't acknowledge that someone have moreness and then someone is sharing such profound things, and we do appreciate, but still we don't want to acknowledge that. What's involved to
Many reasons. It all depends who's doing it. You know, like if you were doing it, it might be very different to just in general.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you now have very different motivations about why you do things. All right, so let's just go in general. In general, people don't want to acknowledge others' moreness because of hierarchy, because of superiority paradigm. If I acknowledge your moreness, that automatically puts me less, and they don't want to be put in a less position. Yeah, so they don't want to acknowledge it. Now, if it's in a situation, mute please, Beena. Sorry, because I'm going to make a long thing, and then I'm hearing the back coming. You know, the double sound. Right. Just till you get your speaker thing coming. I don't mean to have you muted. I mean, jump in when you need to, obviously.
Oh, yes. No problem.
Yeah, right. Now, in this point with hierarchy, it's all about your moreness and your perception in terms of where you are at in the world. Yes. Now, those that are in the hierarchy world, to them, sort of, let's put it this way. Let's make it describe it as this way: official hierarchy. And when I mean official, is like you've got a degree, you've got status, you're a celebrity, blah blah. Right. So if a celebrity says something, right, and they say something that's like, kind of interesting or more or that, well, it may not even be actually profound, but if it's presented as profound because they're a celebrity, that official status adds to whatever they're saying and makes it more valuable. It's valuable because it came from the celebrity or somebody who's got status of some kind, whether it be a politician or, a professor, whatever, right? All of these things, they are artificial mechanisms of status which give validity to what you say. Just because Einstein said it doesn't mean it makes sense. Yes. And if you don't believe me, look up stupid, foolish quotes by famous people. It's very, very useful exercise. Highly recommended. It's part of Way of Impeccability in the session on how to quote yourself, or learning to quote yourself, quoting the self. A very powerful, very important thing to be able to do. Now, we make this mistake of assuming because people are important or have status, what they say is more valuable. No, it's not. You need to learn to discern for yourself what is or isn't valuable. Yes? Right, Beena? This is absolutely essentially critical. All right, now, so that's the first point. Why there's not an acknowledgement of moreness, we'll come to that now, right? So first of all, moreness, when it comes from somebody who has official or recognized status, then it's acceptable because they're in this other sphere to you. I'm ordinary, they special. So it's not a problem to acknowledge their moreness. Now, though, if somebody comes and says something profound or even does it on a regular basis and they're not a celebrity, right? The appearance is that I'm on kind of the same level as me. They're in the same field as me. We're both ordinary people. So I can't acknowledge your moreness because now I'm going to elevate you into a celebrity. And well, I kind of see that, you're not all that different to me. Yes. In the appearance or look, I know you, I talk to you. We just like regular people. We're in the same bubble. Which means, though, but if I were to elevate you into that sphere of moreness and celebrity, what does that say about me? I'm kind of like you, but there's a big difference. And this is an awkward truth that they don't want to do. So there's this myth when it comes to those that have status. There's a myth that they are somehow different and special. If you've ever hung out with actual celebrities and, people who have status, they're just regular people like everybody else, but different in ways that aren't. When you hang out with them, they seem like they're the same as you. It's appearance. Yes. What you perceive via celebrity and status is a particular view on them, which is a distorted view. Yes. So we have to be very careful of this, right? But when you hang out with those people and they're just talking to you and, they're doing all the same things, they eat the same way, everything. Oh well, you know what? They're just different people. We're just regular people, but there's a difference. Now, if a regular person can be very, very different and have moreness, what's the implication? So can I. Yeah. But I don't have it. Why not? This is the awful truth now. Well, I'm not making effort. I'm not thinking it through. I don't have skills, talents, all this. Most people who have so-called skills and talents, well, not skills, but talents, they work very hard to make those talents more. Yes, I was talking about this the other day, about the myth of intelligence. I saw it in people that I know very intimately, my parents particularly, right? And other people that I knew closely. They're intelligent people, but they knew they were intelligent. And because of that, it made them very, very sloppy with what they did. They just assumed because I'm intelligent, it's going to be work out and right. Nonsense. So they didn't think things through to the end. They didn't shift to multiple perspectives. They weren't thorough and scrupulous and diligent and conscientious. They weren't impeccable, in other words, and their lives were a mess as a result. They constantly kept getting into trouble because they simply assumed that it will work out because of their intelligence. This knowledge of their intelligence made them arrogant. Right? Now you get some people who are arrogant who believe they're intelligent when they're not. But when you actually are, it still leads to arrogance, right? And you see this all the time in different fields in life, where people have skills and they, or just generally intelligent, and they assume it's going to apply to it. You still got to do the work. You still got to do the work. Doesn't make the work itself. Whether you're intelligent or not, you still got to do the work, right? You still got to do the work. So you got to be impeccable. So there's that problem now. And this comes into the fact that when somebody sees somebody else with moreness, who's basically a regular person, they don't want to acknowledge that because they have to then acknowledge that they too could have that moreness. But it means they would have to make an effort to do so. If they could do it, an ordinary person, well, why can't I? Oh, well, I don't know. So they just tend to obviate this. They'll take the moreness and they'll just ignore and say, well, you know what? I don't want to elevate you, as I don't want you to be different. I want you to be on the same level as me, because that will justify me not having what you have. So they take it, but then they obfuscate it in their minds, right? They'll just kind of deny it. And so they'll take the moreness and then not acknowledge it, right? Because that way you don't have to update yourself. Make sense, Beena? Right? The why they don't want to acknowledge the moreness of somebody who they know is a more or less a regular person just like them. Yeah. You muted. Beena, where'd you go? Before I carry on with this, there's more. Say again.
Yes.
Okay, it makes sense, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, all
Does
right.
make
This is
sense.
great. This is great. All right. So this is very important, right? It's this perception of status, or the perception of, somebody who's okay, qualified. Like, you're a this, you're a that. You have to have status before people will believe your moreness. It's the most absurd and ridiculous thing. If you don't have status, then they don't want to acknowledge that moreness, right? It's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
But sometimes they forced to. But it's very hard for people to do this because of those implications, right? It's not supposed to be this way, and at the
But
same time they will give false moreness.
but does it really it reflects that we do see this. Like, if are convinced by status or any other thing, then we are not actually seeing the moreness there. We are not able to.
Yeah,
It's a big
exactly.
question mark on our ability to see the
Exactly.
value.
Yeah.
And then also that it's a big question mark on our self-awareness. we don't know ourselves because we are assuming that, oh, we are just following the moreness, but actually we are just following the like a flock of sheep. We are just following others because everybody says
Correct.
that person
Correct.
or that thing or that person was is something profound, saying something profound and shared for something profound. Then it means that it is. Then we don't have that peace, independence of being. We don't have that.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Exactly. There's the key. It's the lack of independence of being. Yes. Yes.
because if
Yeah.
I'm just following all these things, we actually the moreness is we don't know. It means it is going to bring out so many question marks.
Yeah.
So many question marks on ourselves.
Exactly.
If I'm just following blindly, I'm not saying that those celebrities don't have moreness. Of course they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
most of them they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
But it's not about them. It's about the reason I'm following or I'm acknowledging their moreness.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
problem.
Exactly. Now look at the reason why people want to be followers. Avoidance of responsibility. If you look at the world in general, you'll see this is a very, 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 very big deal. Avoidance of responsibility. Yes, it is. It's all over. People make every effort to avoid capital R responsibility. That's why they complain. Because you chose to continue living. You know that the world is a messed up place. You know the world can be weird. You know the world can be unfair. But you chose to continue living. At some point in your life, you became aware of unfairness and injustice and randomness and weirdness. At that point, you also knew that you had a choice to continue living or not. Do you accept responsibility for your choice? No, you made the choice. You're not even aware that you made the choice, but you made it. Right? So don't complain. Yeah. So complaining, avoidance of responsibility, and also avoidance of effort, right? Responsibility means I have to make the effort. I have to think for myself. Oh, God, this is the most terrible thing. Who said this? Some lazy BMN. No, this is just a belief that you've got. Thinking is a joyful activity. It's not a stressful thing. Of course, if you're thinking about things, awful truths that you don't want to face and deal with, then thinking can be stressful. But if you're honest and you prize self-honesty, none of that is an issue because ego is not an issue. Right now, it's learning, it's growth. See, change the paradigm. Now we get to where you said the different point, right? Yeah, yeah. Just close this here. Okay. Now we get to a different point of the things that you mentioned, right? About this goodness and moreness and a perception of it and consequence and connection.
And appropriateness. When it comes to goodness, where the concept of appropriateness fits in with the goodness.
Explain a bit more.
Okay, because in the story also you mentioned that there are people or angels. They just do things because they know and they understand and they believe that it is good, not only for them but also for others, and they just do that. Which is of course not every single time it is going to be perceived as nice by others, even as good, because sometimes people don't understand that. And that is the problem with the angels you were mentioning, and I have seen this, okay, not with angels but also like ordinary human beings also. When they do, sometimes some people don't have the very clear idea of appropriateness. They don't follow that when it comes to goodness, because they just want to do things and they get so involved and immersed into those things, and they assume that, okay, what I'm doing is because it is good, so then I'm doing it. Yes, the appropriateness would say that, okay, no, this is not your area. You should not do this. Okay, that might not be perceived as someone else, as a nice gesture or a good gesture. Some people, when they are doing something good according to their understanding, they get so immersed that appropriateness gets behind. So I want to know that, and it happens with me, and I have seen so many other people also. When we try to do something good, they also just try to do that. They don't have any agenda behind that. with the appropriateness, I want to know that does goodness also have a space for appropriateness,
Of
or
course.
is
Oh, yeah.
this just abstract and it is just limitless?
No, no, no. I mean, goodness is appropriateness. It's one and the same thing.
Hmm.
It's not different.
Ah,
If we can
okay.
be appropriate, we are being good. That's what it means. And this is now capital G goodness. This is the problem with typical everyday goodness. Like take love, for instance, right? Why I keep saying it's love with awareness. And it has to be love with awareness, because you have the goodness of love, but if it's in a bubble and it's unaware love, right? So often we see people doing things which they think is out of love, but it's completely disconnected from the reality, and it's inappropriate, and it's an inappropriate application of goodness, and then it's a mess, right? Because it's not appropriate.
Yes.
See, so that's little g goodness. But capital G goodness is when it's good and it's right and it's appropriate in all contexts. That makes it capital G goodness. Yes. Norma says, the choice for me is to do the best I can with love. Sometimes perceptions of what is going on behind the stage of the play of life can seek to break us, but we have to bend with the wind, but still be generous and loving. Give, give, give. There is no limit to what we can give. Exactly. Exactly. And then she says, precisely so, with awareness. Exactly. And this is a hard lesson for good people, Beena. This understanding of inappropriate application of goodness. It's both a hard lesson, but it's also a great relief. I've shared this concept with many, and then they, and all the implications fell in because they'd done so many things that just were a mess in their lives, caused a mess, caused trouble. But they felt really bad. They felt guilty. They felt ashamed. But in their hearts, they knew they weren't being bad, but they caused a mess. They caused lots of, I mean, really like great big messes, right? Because of inappropriate application of goodness. Yeah. So appropriate application of goodness gives you capital G goodness, right? So
Yes.
our
Yeah.
definition of appropriateness is goodness in all contexts. Yes, very difficult to achieve because we don't know everything, but as best we
Yeah.
can, as best we can, at least from an impeccability point of view. This is why it's way of impeccability, not way of appropriateness. Now, when we right, it's a very big difference because when I am looking to ascertain whether or not I am good in how many contexts, there's a limit to how much I can know. But if I've done everything I can, in other words, I've been thorough, I've been diligent, I've been scrupulous, I've been conscientious in figuring out whether my action is going to be good or not. And with the time I make my decision to act, my conscience is clear that I've made the effort to really find out, to look further, to look deeper, to think it through to the end, to perspective shift to multiple perspectives, to de-research, to ask questions, etc. At that point, I can now act with confidence and certainty because I've been impeccable. Does it mean my decision is going to be right? No. Impeccability does not mean being right. You can be completely and utterly wrong, but still be impeccable. I've done everything that I know. Sometimes there's factors outside of my awareness that I could not possibly have known. And this, okay, now it turns out to be a mess. But here's the magic. The universe has your back when you've been impeccable. Inevitably, when you've been impeccable and things don't work out right, it's a fortuitous mistake. Things later turn out to be right, even though the situation was a mess. You just have to look a little deeper and say, okay, I was impeccable and this didn't work out right. What's the moreness here? And this is part of that technique of extracting the moreness. Now you start to look at it differently. Okay, I did something at work. I did it out of my best designs. I was scrupulous, thorough, and I got fired for it anyway. Oh, well, actually, you know what? This has happened to people. And when they looked, they said, wow, getting fired actually in retrospect was the best thing that ever happened because that job was a dead end going nowhere. And because I got fired, I got this other job, my dream job, blah, 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 right? This has happened so many times. And in relationships, same thing. Yes. that they did something good, they were impeccable, and the relationship imploded, and then they ended up in a better, different relationship, right? No, we do it with judgment, Norma. If we do things without judgment, we do things without morality and without ethics. This whole issue of being anti-judgment is a complete oxymoron. It's idiotic. It must go away. We need to do things with judgment, which means I'm being careful. I'm being decisive. I'm being impeccable. I have to judge in order to be impeccable. I have to judge in order to be moral. I have to judge in order to be ethical. You cannot do this. No judgment means no morality. And this is why this whole anti-judgment is being pushed by people who themselves are squirrely, are indulgent, who know they step over the boundaries, who know they do things they shouldn't do. They don't want to be judged, so they make out judgment as a terrible thing. Why? Because you're under the eye now. You're being looked at a little bit more closely with the internet and everything. This whole anti-judgment thing is an internet era issue, right? And it didn't come about when the internet started. It's only come about in the last couple of years, yeah, because the scrutiny is caught up with those people. So now they want to say, oh, don't judge, don't judge. Don't. Yeah, you're full of nonsense. You're full of nonsense. Sorry. That's it. Don't try and say, don't judge me. You're full of nonsense. End of story. Yes. You know it. You know it. You're full of nonsense according to yourself. I don't even have to say it. But you don't want to be judged. You don't want to be held accountable for your nonsense because you know it. So no, we must do it with judgment, Norma. Absolutely. Always, always do it with judgment. Absolutely. Capital J judgment. Now, if I'm going to go around telling you what you need to do, what's right for you, then that's inappropriate judgment. Appropriate judgment is saying, that's not for me. Yes. Or I could say, look, if you do this, right, based on the usual consequence, you're going to end up with a negative experience. Right? That's not a judgment. That's simply an if-then. So if you jump off the cliff without a parachute, well, you're going to go splat at the bottom. See, it's not a judgment. If I say, well, that's stupid, okay, I guess that's a judgment too. But see, it's this. We have to be very careful with what judgment is. But when I say, morality issues, which are a little on the gray side, to say, okay, well, don't be gay. See, now we're getting into, it's you and your business. What you want to do in your business, that's not up for me to decide. I may feel it's wrong and bad, but I can't say it's so for you because you're not doing any harm to anybody. So what, So this is a very good deal, right? Yeah. Well, it's very powerful. It's very, very powerful. Yeah. Everyone is worth everything. Yeah. No, you're not qualified to judge everything. I'm not saying we must judge everything. That's not what I was saying, Norma. But just to hear it again, I said we must do everything with judgment. That's not the same as judging everything. I can decide when I make a decision. Everything I do, I need to add judgment into what I do, because that's me adding morality and ethics and impeccability and sensibility and sobriety into what I do, right? Judgment is part of that quality. I need to judge things. Judging is ascertaining. It is making a decision which way I want to go. It's making a decision. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this valuable? Is this useful, etc.? That's all judgment, see? So it depends exactly what you mean by judgment. But typically, judgment is the exercising of discernment and looking at things a little more deeply. And its judgment is to make a decision as to whether something is right or wrong or good or bad or valuable or not valuable, etc. Right? It's that discernment. Now, it's maybe not good, bad, but when I paint a painting, I have to make judgments. Do I put this little bit of ink there, a little bit? It's not right or wrong. It's about appropriateness. I'm judging whether this particular spot of color is going to add to the picture or not. See? So we need to do everything with judgment. Yeah, it depends on what you mean by judgment, right? When we go around making up morals and ethics for others, that's a problem. Yes, I can say what's good for me, but hey, what's good for you, that's a different thing. However, I can say there are some things that I can say for others. For instance, if you're going to go around causing harm, I'm sorry, no. You're a rapist or a murderer. I'm saying, no, that's wrong. That's bad. I have to, because otherwise, if I say, oh, don't judge, well, don't judge the rapist. Really? Can't happen. Can't happen. It's oxymoron, right? So no, judgment is very, very important. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, yes, we're not qualified to judge everything, but this is part of our learning, our growth of our awareness. We become more and more qualified. This is what appropriateness is all about. See, I just avoid this word judgment because it's a contaminated word. Appropriateness, discernment, these are the same thing. In order to determine what is appropriate, I have to make judgments. It's like, duh. I have to make assessments. I have to make evaluations. Like, duh, right? So this is part of our awareness training. I just avoid this word judgment. This is a contaminated word. Just so be focused on finding out what's appropriate. Learn to be more qualified to make an assessment of what is appropriate. Yes, because that means we have to expand our awareness. We have to learn to look at multiple contexts. We have to look at the entire context of life. We have to look at things in the context of time and the context of others, etc. Right? And this all part of awareness. It's a magical, delicious, delightful, wonderful, fabulous journey. Right? But we need to have the skill to be able to decide. If we can't decide, then we're lost. Then we get back to Beena's problem. We get back to people wanting to be followers because they don't want to make decisions, because they're so afraid of judgments, and now they can't decide anything anymore. So now they rely on everybody else to tell them what to do. You are judging based on somebody else's decision. If I do what I'm being told by somebody to do and I just blindly follow them, they've made the judgment. Now they have the responsibility for the judgment. So I avoid responsible judgment. I just do. But am I not now acting according to a judgment of somebody else? That's far worse than doing something according to your own judgment. To me, that's a way more terrible thing. I'd rather be wrong on my own judgments than even be right according to somebody else's judgments, because now I'm just blindly going along. I have no idea whether it's good or not. I'm just doing it because it's supposed to be. No. And this is what Beena was saying too. Just because somebody is got status or that, you've got to listen carefully to what they say. Like she said, I can't be influenced. I have to decide for myself. Oh, you said this before Zoom, but all right, doesn't matter, right? This receptivity. I assess whatever comes my way, and I figure this is intrinsic to way of impeccability. You and you alone are the final arbiter of truth. You, the individual, nobody else. No matter how much you may think somebody else has come up with the truth, you are still deciding whether or not it's the truth. So you deciding, right? You say, oh, yes, somebody has wisdom, and they say this is the truth. The moment you say, okay, I accept it, that's you making a choice to accept it. See, when you choose to accept it, you are deciding, right? Just don't do it blindly. Don't make your choices based on nothing, based on a hollowness, based on an emptiness. Yes, make it worthwhile, make it more, because of course, many abuse their celebrity status, as we know, with abuse of power and this. And they say the biggest load of rubbish, and people believe them simply because they're a celebrity or they're in a position of power. And this is how people get abused and manipulated and just end up causing all sorts of havoc and chaos. And if we just look through history, you see how many people got, sucked into wars and all sorts of horrible things and superstitious things, burning witches and whatever. Why? Because some moron said this and he was in a position of power, and you just believe them because they're in a position of power. No. We need to have judgment. Otherwise, we end up burning witches and going on, crusades and or holy wars and God knows what, all sorts of nonsense. Yeah. Say no. Got to say no. Yeah. And that's a good modesty point, by the way, that you make, Norma, to say I'm not qualified to judge everything. We aren't, and therefore we withhold our decisions and our perspectives, our discernments, our understandings, until such time as we are more qualified. This is way of impeccability. We learn to become qualified as needed. I don't have to learn to be qualified to judge everything. That's a big task. But I need to learn to have the skill to be able to make this the judgment or the assessment or the evaluation on demand, right? So whenever the thing comes, I decide then. I don't have to decide for everything. I only have to decide what's pertinent and relevant to me. I have to have the skill, thus, of deciding. I don't have to go and make it for everything, because things change. By the time you've made all your assessments, and then the world is different already and they'll be out of date. So we need to do it in real time, in the moment, develop the skill, right? But to get back to Beena's bigger point of why people don't want to acknowledge moreness, yes? Because also, like I said, it puts it into a hierarchy position. And I've seen this with, for instance, people that I know and that have known me before Way of Impeccability. Yes. Now I come and they see Way of Impeccability. They don't even want to mention Way of Impeccability. They don't want to say the words. Because if they talk about it or say it, they have to acknowledge that it exists. If they have to acknowledge that it exists, by implication, because they kind of know what it is, by implication, they need to do it. And they know they need to do it. But do they want to put themselves in a position where I'm their teacher and they're the student? That's not how I do Way of Impeccable, but this is their mindset, right? They think, oh, now I'm going to be below you, but we've been sort of more or less equal. It's all hierarchy nonsense. This doesn't exist for me. And it brings up a deeper problem also, Beena. This problem of different paradigms. Yes. When you are stuck in a paradigm, everything you do gets evaluated according to that paradigm. Yes. And you will interpret somebody else's behavior according to your paradigm behavior. Yes. And so I need to go outside. All right. Beena, will you just
Yes.
No,
Were
never
you
mind, never
muted?
mind, never mind. No, never mind. No, it's okay. I just saw the Amazon truck back up, but they were going the other way. I thought they were backing up to unload something big, but no, it's all taken care of, so it's all good. All right. So this point that I'm making about acknowledgement of moreness, right? And paradigms, paradigm shifting. When people are stuck in a superiority paradigm, they evaluate everything according to hierarchy. So like I said, when people come along and they see this, they judge whatever you do according to their understanding of why you are doing it and the motivations. Take, for instance, our lives, right? The usual paradigm thing is I'm doing it for importance, I'm doing it to get likes, I'm doing it to raise my status, etc., right? If that's your paradigm and you're stuck in that paradigm, you are unable to conceive of a reason, a motivation that is not those that conform to the superiority paradigm. Right? So now they, for instance, look at us and we're doing these lives. Oh, they must be, they must be getting it for likes, must be doing it for status, whatever. No, so now they're evaluating us and say, wow, that's kind of lame. And you're doing this for that. See, and they can't go any further than that. Now they get stuck because they assume your motivations are similar to theirs when they're not at all. Now, when you are relating to people that you know and you like, and that have some qualities that you like, but they're operating in this different paradigm, it's very difficult to have sustained interactions because you end up speaking a different language. Yes. Because when I say, I'm here because of capital S sharing, they have no conception of what this means, because in the superiority paradigm, there's no such thing as sharing. No, you take and, you try not to give because, well, unless you're going to get status out of giving, okay, then giving's okay. It's a different mindset that makes for different motivations. And when people can't perceive your motivations, then they're a bit suspicious, right? Like in what we're doing now. Right? Yeah, it doesn't make sense why he's doing it. And when they don't know, it's an unknown. This is fearful. This is difficult. And I rather avoid what I don't know because that's dangerous. Yeah. Because they cannot conceive of motivations that are outside the superiority paradigm. Very important. Make sense, Beena?
Absolutely makes sense, but it
Yeah.
is revealing a very huge, big, big problem, big concern. Because for a person who is not aware, it's okay. They are just things because they are not aware. They don't think. But when we do this deliberately, when we are aware and we still are doing these things, then it's a bigger problem. There is no comparison between a person who is not aware and they are not acknowledging it. Okay. Yes, still they are lazy, they are not working on themselves, other reasons. But when a person is aware and still they have these issues involved of ego, fear, hierarchy, in not having enough independence of being, or just a completely absence of independence of being, then they are the people who are really, really badly in need of doing
Exactly.
again.
Yeah.
This, by this thing, I mean that, okay, they need to work on themselves really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because if by knowing, after knowing all these things, by following all those, okay, other people who are like big celebrities and they are saying and sharing such profound stuff and ideologies and perspectives and conceptions, and I'm aware of it, I'm quoting it, but
Yeah.
still I have this mindset of hierarchy that I'm not going to acknowledge my fellow because he's in my, we are in same league, so I'm not going to acknowledge his or her moreness because, oh no, there is a comparison, there is a competition. It means that we haven't evolved. We are not growing. We are still in this rut. So we need to, those people who are into this mindset, we need to work really, really, really hard. We are in extreme need to work on ourselves.
Right.
Because I know what's involved in it. But it's still my ego is driving me. It's still my ego is guiding me. It's still my fears are inhibiting me. It's still my hierarchy just making me uncomfortable to set myself free, to enjoy the moreness. And it's a bigger problem there. So when people who are in this field, especially, when they feel that they have something to share with the world, when they feel that they have something which might be helpful for others. When they feel that, okay, I can be a good ear and heart for someone. I can be a good being for someone to share their really deep concerns. If people in that position and they have this understanding about themselves, and it's still their ego is riding them, it's still their fear taking over them, and it's still they are completely carved by this hierarchy setup. They are the people who are in real need. Really.
And they end up being chameleons. Chameleons, he at least does acknowledge the moreness, because in that situation he can't not acknowledge it, right? It's impossible because it's so overwhelming. Yeah, but let's assume Biella was on his world or some other world, then maybe easier for him to, well, and make some, but still take a little bit and right. But he ends up acknowledging it, but not wanting to join it and be in it, even though he wants to, because he can't let go of his status. He doesn't want to start at the bottom again. But it's only if you hang up a status. Norma says, I don't know why. I seem to be walking on a different road. That is everybody. Everybody walks a different road. It's not just you, Norma. Yes. This is life. This is life, right? And I'm glad you're walking on a different road, because if you were walking on the road of everybody else, it's a road to nowhere.
I want to share something, Syl.
Yeah, let me just finish Norma's comment. She says, I'm working on a different road. I just want people to love themselves. We are all worth everything. Joy and beauty, love and harmony for all. Yes. But we have to be careful of this, because the murderer and the rapist, yes, if they start loving themselves, then by the same token, the next thing they could say, well, what I'm doing is okay. It's a relative thing, right? So we have to love with awareness, love with discernment. Yes, learn to be worthy of your own love. Yes, learn to behave in such a way that it's easy for you to love yourself. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So the loving has to go together with behavior and change of character sometimes. Yes. Has to go together with change. Yes. Because if you are a rapist or a murderer, no, sorry, you need to change. Yeah. Yeah. So this is very important.
On this criminal level only, but if I can sit with myself alone and then just say that, okay, yes, what I'm choosing, what I am doing in my life, what are my priorities, again, connecting to what you were sharing day before yesterday, that who we are and how we describe ourselves. So many things involved into that. if I can sit with myself, and if I can still say without having any stress, that okay, yes, I did something. Yes, it doesn't make any sense. And oh, okay, yes, okay, it was a blunder. If I can do this, then I can see myself with clear conscience. It has to be clear. Otherwise, there is no peace.
Exactly.
Otherwise, there is
Exactly.
no love.
Exactly.
Doesn't. We need to be
Exactly.
very clear about this thing.
Yes.
Love never, never inhibit you to grow. We assume
Exactly.
that if I
Never.
have to love
Never.
myself, okay, so this is who I
Oh,
am, and I just love myself. Of course, you have to love yourself. But does it mean that
yeah.
you this thing? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love does never, never, never
Yeah.
inhibit us to grow.
Yeah.
Of course, if I love myself, I would love to see myself growing.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
problem. Okay,
Yeah.
I was keen to share something. There is a very famous Sufi poetry in Urdu, and this says that, and they keep repeating the same thing. That oh, you poor, you never tasted that. Oh, you poor, you never tasted that. And I
Ah,
was like,
interesting.
what they are saying is, you never actually tasted the bliss of freedom,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
the bliss of freedom in yourself
Yeah.
from all the hierarchy nonsense, from all the ego nonsense, from all those things. So what they keep saying that, okay, oh, you poor, you never tasted that. And it was actually saying that because Sufi poetry mostly in a way it is written that okay, they use some with something as a symbol, like oh, you never tasted a wine, so you don't know what the hangover is or the toxicity. I don't know how to say that, but the
Yeah.
intoxicity
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
is you don't know.
Intoxication. Intoxication. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know the intoxication of it. You don't know the taste of it. You don't know about how the world you perceive after that. So they use a symbol. But what they are saying that you never actually tasted the bliss of freedom ever. So you don't know what other people are saying, what some people who become self-aware and of course they could acquire awareness, what they have tasted.
Hmm.
Once you tasted that, you cannot never ever go back. It's an
Right.
intoxication for us. So this is
Yeah.
something I was keen
Yeah.
to share with because freedom
Ex-
is becoming more precious for me because as I
Yes.
am observing,
Yes.
very few people
Yes.
want to have that. Very
Yes.
few people have.
Yes. Now, freedom is related to choice. Freedom
Exactly.
is related to responsibility. Freedom is related to awareness. Freedom is related to impeccability, especially. Because if you aren't impeccable, you are never free from doubt. Impeccability, and particularly way of impeccability, provides tools, not answers, tools with which you can eliminate doubt and regret. When you're impeccable, you do everything you can. You're thorough, you're scrupulous, you're diligent, you're using your energy to best effect. You are particularly making the effort that when I make a decision, my conscience is clear. And it's not clear because I'm just saying, oh, everything's fine. No, it's clear because it's based on something substantial. Yes, my conscience is clear. Does it mean I make the right decision? No. At least as in a correct decision for what I think it's going to do. Does it turn out the way? No, it doesn't. But is my conscience clear? Yes. In other words, if I go and decide to go shopping, yeah, very simple decision. It's not a big deal. There's no reason not to. There's no indications not to go. It's something I do normally. If as a consequence of me going shopping, the world ends, am I going to feel bad, guilty? No. I might feel bad, say, oh, I didn't want the world to end, but well, I didn't know. I had no idea that that was going to result in that. I can't feel bad about it. I can't feel guilty about it. I can't feel ashamed about it. It just happened. So be it. Yes. Okay, it's a very, very extreme example, but you see my point here. When we are impeccable and we know we've been impeccable, then we can't feel guilty about stuff happening as a result of our impeccable decisions. It just is what it is sometimes. That's just how life is, right? So we have to understand this. But usually, and that's a very extreme example, but usually when things don't work out, they work out for the best later, right? But we have to be very careful in this understanding that if we want freedom, we have to have impeccability, because freedom without impeccability is a nightmare. You say, but you've got total freedom. Yes, but you're going to be irresponsible with your decision making. which means you're going to make poor decisions. If you make poor decisions, they're going to come back and bite you. When you are free, totally free, you're also totally free to be a complete and utter idiot. And you are free to be self-destructive. See? So freedom is not all it's cracked up to be. When people say freedom, what they really mean is they want everything to go their way. How is this possibly going to work?
Yes, exactly.
A very big difference, right? Freedom is capital R responsibility. You want freedom, I want freedom. No, what you want is indulgence. It's a very different thing. Yes. So we have to understand this. Yeah. Yes, 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 Norma. That would be most wonderful thing if you did. Would anything make you feel sad? Yes, Norma. I try not to go there, but uh, losing out by default, this makes me sad. Yes. People lose out simply because they're not aware that there are other options. Because the default is a bubble that they come into that says you have no options, you have no choices. Right? And they get stuck in that. And they end up believing what they were told. And when you believe that you have no choice, this is a sad thing. Correct? So we lose out by default. Most of humanity loses out by default, but it can't be helped because you need to learn to be able to think for yourself. Not because you've been stimulated or prompted or forced or pressured or programmed to think for yourself. No, it has to come innately. And this is just something that you sort of, it just has to happen. That's it. You can't force it. You can't force choice. You can't force awareness. Yes. No, I love you, Norma. You're such a beautiful soul and, you have such pureness. Like you're an angel. Just understand you're an angel and you're used to living in perfect circumstances. And it's very easy to love in the perfect circumstance of the old heaven, right? The one before, the one you come from, right? Pure heaven, no religion in it, just all angels there. Because everybody is perfect, everybody's lovable, everybody's wonderful. Yeah, on earth where things are a mess, it's much more difficult to love because here we've got to love with discernment, we've got to love with awareness because our love can cause a problem. If you love a narcissist, what are you doing? You're just feeding their narcissism and they become a worse narcissist and they cause more trouble. See, so we have to be very careful with love. Yes. To be very careful with love. Yeah, very careful, very careful. But I mean, your innate desire, your innate tendency, your default is to love, 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 love. Right. So it's a hard lesson to learn to, wow, you know what? My love's not always appropriate. Oh, I never thought about loving a narcissist. Yeah. You did. I think, most people at some point, get in trouble. They love narcissists and they end up in bad relationships and it's a mess. So this is the universe giving you a hard lesson. It's a very tough lesson to learn that love isn't always appropriate. Goes against your deepest nature. Yes, but there's love in small context, but then there's capital L love. To say, if I truly love the narcissist, capital L love, right? Bigger picture love. If I truly, truly love them, I'm not going to show them or give them love in the small context. Why? Because it feeds the narcissism. So my not loving them, little L love, in a regular way, is a capital L love, bigger picture love, because it's going to starve their narcissism and they're going to learn that this is a waste, it's a black hole, it's going nowhere, and then they get out of that, right? It's the only way to remedy it is to starve them of this idea, right? It's like a black hole. You can't fix a black hole. Whatever energy you put into it makes it more of a black hole. The only way a black hole cannot be a black hole is if it doesn't get any input into it, no energy giving into it, to starve it, in other words, right? This is very powerful. This is very powerful understanding. So when we apply this to our real deep love, capital L love, and which is capital A appropriateness now. Well, appropriateness is always appropriate, but in all context appropriateness, we understand that, by not giving positivity to the narcissist, not condoning and reinforcing their narcissism, I'm actually doing what's best for them. I'm actually truly loving them, right? So this is discernment. This is love with awareness, right? Layered awareness. So I'm still loving, but I'm just loving in a bigger picture, and it makes my actions different, right? When we say loving, we have to understand what we mean. This is why I keep on making this distinction between the capital, like capital L love, little l, right? The capitalized concepts and small, because that capitalized concept is implying it's in the large overall context. And the little one is in a narrow, small bubble context. And so love in a bubble context, regular little love, it's very problematic. But capital L love says, I'm going to behave contrary to the usual, apparently, like I'm going to not, give this this positivity to the narcissist, but I'm actually loving them by not giving them that feedback that they want, right? That condoning, that endorsement. Yeah. So it's very important to understand the difference. And when we use these words like love, we have to distinguish, because it's so easy to make the difference. Like judgment, it needs that distinction between what you mean. Is this judgment talking about the exercising of your critical faculties, or moralizing inappropriately? See, the way it's typically when we say don't judge, this is meant to say don't moralize inappropriately. That's what they mean. They're not saying don't exercise your critical faculties. Yes. And what's so ironic, whenever somebody says don't judge, judgment is bad, that is a judgment. Yeah. Can't get away from judgment. Can't get away from judgment. Yeah. The more you say don't judge, the more you're judging. Yes. Can't get away from it. We have to have it. Otherwise, our lives will implode. Very important. But this is the magic of appropriateness, because judgment makes rules. Appropriateness says it varies. It depends. It's contextual. It depends on the motivation, the goal, whatever. It depends. Appropriateness always is depends. So it's a flux. It's a variable. Right? That's why appropriateness is always appropriate. It's one constant in the world. Very few constants in the world. Not even time is a constant. Yeah. Exactly. Loving is a judgment. Exactly, Norma. Loving is a profound judgment. Even if you love everything, you're deciding everything is worthy of love. That's a judgment. If you say, I love it anyway because it's not worthy, you're still making the decision to judge, to love, which is a judgment. Yeah. Exactly. We can't get away from it. We can't get away from it. So we have to understand and have this discernment to realize that the word is being abused and the word is being poorly used and inappropriately used, right? This is very important. This is very, 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 very important. All right. On that magical note right there, Beena, please add some more.
Before it started, I was expecting to do the capital R reading and go into the more of the story. But suddenly something just come up. So for me, the appropriateness and the goodness thing, which is needed, very much needed for me. And and the second thing of acknowledgement and the inhibition of from hierarchy and all these things that I must not do this because of this, because of that. And then to go in depth is to understand, not of course, not for anyone else, but for myself. I want to be open, more free in my acknowledgement, in my refusals, in my acceptance, everything. So whatever I do, I take full responsibility of it, and I feel no obligation to hide it from anyone. Okay, yes, that sense of appropriateness is going to always in consideration. This is who I am. But also I want to have the clarity in my life so I can feel the bliss of freedom. Capital F freedom, not in the sense that, okay, I just want to do whatever nonsense comes into my mouth and it comes in my mind, I will just do that. No, but I just want to actually just have that capital B bliss or capital F freedom. I want to enjoy that. I don't feel any stress of anyone's in competition. Like, oh yes, okay, if I will acknowledge that person is going to be like, oh, he's going to be ahead of me, or she is going to be ahead of me. So what? No problem with that. I want to be in a place, in that way of being, a state of being, where I don't feel all these things. Okay, in
Yeah, yeah.
let's say that, okay, I don't feel it. If I would say very carefully, like 95% of my time, I don't feel that. But I still take a chance of 5% because maybe sometimes I'm not aware of it, but still those ideas can prevent that competition and then, okay, yes, the hierarchy and all these things. I don't feel that, but still, I just want to keep that 5% of margin in my life. And maybe sometimes when I'm not aware and still I get into these things. And I want to
Yeah,
get rid of that 5% also,
yeah.
even that 5% also.
Right,
I
right,
wish I can.
right.
And that is something very for me. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Beena, our relationship is for many of those who see the moreness but don't want to acknowledge it. Our relationship is completely incomprehensible to them. Yeah, because I will say, for instance, if you mute again, please, Beena. I'm hearing my feedback. Right. Our relationship is one where there is a great amount of sharing. Yes. So I can say, I feel fairly confidently, and please jump in anytime if I'm not sharing this accurately. Right. In our relationship, right, you have learned much as a consequence of our relationship. Yes. I'm using my words very carefully here. Yes. You have not learned because you simply accepted what I was sharing. In other words, that's typical teaching. Yes. I never taught you anything. You learned things. Yes, but I never taught you anything, to be really precise. Correct? I shared, you took that information and you learned. You adapted it, shifted it, made sense of it, figured it out, thought it through to the end, perspective shift on it, etc., etc., etc. Because those are the tools of a way of impeccability. It's not a system where you acquire things, rules, beliefs, ideas. No, it's tools for deciding whether or not, when something does come along that's valuable, it is so according to you. Yes, right, Beena? Is this so far? I'm stating things accurately.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. All right. Now,
Just to
now, I'm
one more
going somewhere. Oh,
just want to add one more thing. That yes, I acquire whatever I have learned so far. It is I acquired it as a consequence of our relationship, the way we interact with each other. Because before that, because it was my choice, it was my deliberate choice.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Now, on this point here of choice, yes. When I'm
Yes.
saying that those that don't want to acknowledge the moreness, they don't want to do so because they assume that in order to access the moreness that is shared here, not just with me now, you also, that they have to become a student and therefore have this big gulf in relationship and status. Yes.
Say it again, please.
Right. They assume in order to access the moreness which we share, they have to become a student and put themselves at the bottom and be nothing. And now, no, not at all. Look at Ursula. Even though she's taken on this role of not knowing anything, she's made herself into a child. Does she get treated like a nincompoop, like an idiot, like a no? But this is the assumption with Way of Impeccability. I'm the student, and therefore I know nothing, and I'm ignorant, and I'm stupid, and I'm low, and I got no worth and no value. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense, right? Look at you. You didn't have to do that. You stayed who you were. Yes. Did you add? Of course. You grew. Yes, of course. This is learning. But there was never an ego status relationship issue. None. It was never a factor, right? I've never treated you as a student, as a nothing, as an ignoramus or whatever, right? No hierarchical treatment ever. Correct, Beena? As a matter of fact, the very first slides in Way of Impeccability says you are good, you are more. It makes
Okay.
emphasizes that in a big way. I'm making this point that why they don't want to access the moreness, because they assume they
I want
have to
to add
go
some.
into this lessness. Go ahead. Sorry, yeah.
I want to add something to this.
Mm.
Okay, they might not have. Okay, some people. Okay, maybe not everyone, but some people might not have a problem to be a student. They might
Right.
not have a problem. The problem with that, it comes with, it's a package deal. It comes with Way-of-Impeccability, because the very first slide says that you are not broken, you are
Yeah.
good, and you are more. And then that's
Yeah.
this imprints in our mind. But we actually again, when we accept things and ideas from any external source without having capital R receptivity, without completely taking responsibility, we get indulged into this without knowing the depth of it. When we say that, okay, you are good, you are not broken, it doesn't mean that you have to bring so much more on the table to be an equal in this relationship. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Because when we say that, oh, I'm not broken, okay, so I don't need to fix. And then of course, whatever I feel that it is broken or need to be fixed in common words, then I need to hide this. Otherwise, I will not be good. I will not be more. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the problem. So some people, they might feel good if you just tell them that, okay, yes, okay, it's a one-way relationship. Okay, you have to receive whatever I'm doing, and then you need to trust it. That's one thing. It's a one situation. Second thing is that sometimes when people feel that, okay, it's not a relationship, by default, when we feel that, okay, we are equal, we get involved into the competition.
Yeah.
This is something I have seen that in many times, like, okay, like the father and the elder son relationship, or the son relationship. They assume that, okay, because you are a male and I'm also a male, and okay, yes, so we need to have our own world, and by default they get the competition.
Yeah.
Okay. And the third thing, if I have to make a painting, just for example, I need to go out and buy some paints and canvas and some art material. Yes, that's a thing. When I want to paint something which is a bit complex, I cannot do. I need to learn for that. For that, I need to go somewhere. So when I'm going somewhere, when I'm going out to buy or purchase art supplies, I am receiving something. Does I feel that, oh, my ego is going to hurt because I'm going to acquire something? No.
No, exactly.
No, we never feel that.
Yeah.
When we have to enjoy, we want to enjoy fine dining, we go out in a restaurant or in a hotel and just sit and wait and follow all the courses and everything. We never say that, oh, I have to be obedient here. No, we enjoy that.
Yeah.
We enjoy the chef's instructions also.
Yes.
Okay, you have course. This is the second course. This is the third one. This is the one that you have to do. We never ever, I never seen anyone who says that, okay, oh, I'm not going to follow any instructions there. Okay, I'm not a student. I'm not an obedient one here. We do enjoy that. Because we do this deliberately. We make this choice deliberately.
Exactly.
But when it comes to point, we get into that, oh my God, oh, why I have to listen to this? Oh, do I have to do everything as he or she is saying? How your ego comes into this play.
Right, but that's part of the obedience culture, because you assume that you have to have this obedience to be a student, because that's what we were taught. They don't know any different. It's a sad reality.
But we never actually be thorough into this. When we go to salon and ask for a haircut, your beautician, your hairstylist always suggest their things and always do their own thing. We never ever follow. And we pay for them. For this.
Yeah.
To feel that, oh my God, okay, I'm not a baby here. I'm not good. Okay. We may never get into competition with them. No.
Yeah.
The problem is that our choices and our decisions are not well thought.
Yes.
It is exactly same. It is exactly same as I'm going out because I need paints. I have to go out.
Yeah.
Because I want to enjoy a four-course, full-fledged, fancy meal. I have to go out of my house and leave my house, go there, wait for my food to come and be served according to the chef's design, and of course, follow that to enjoy the meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will we ever object on that? No. No.
Yeah.
No. That's the problem. Because we never consider that okay, if I need to be aware, I have to go, I am at the receiving end, it is my deliberate choice, and I need to follow and trust the chef or the person in this case and follow some instructions.
Yeah.
Why are you hurt when it comes to awareness, but not
Right.
in a five-star hotel? Never.
Right. Beena.
I never see anyone who says that I'm going to eat my fourth course as my first course. No, never.
Yeah.
Never.
Although there are such people, they do exist. Yeah.
At least, I'm
Contrarians.
not.
Anyway. Yeah. In all magical world, not. All right, Beena. This is exactly so. We don't question, we don't ask, we don't think. Yes, we lack clear thinking. And this is the problem, faulty thinking. And I want to bring up a very important point of faulty thinking. I call it mentality of opposites. And there's very many different applications, but that's the abstract conceptuality. And it's when you think of it through, oh, okay, and then you see, and then it makes a lot of sense. All right, I'll come to it in a moment. This point that I want to mention is getting back to your original starting point, why people see moreness, take from it, but don't wish to acknowledge it. Yes, like for instance, that people come and they see and they don't want to come and do way of impeccability, even though they want to, but then they don't actually take that step to do it because of mentality of opposites. Now, when the things that we share, Beena, by implication, if you listen even with some halfway bit of discernment, right, just your natural ability as a human being to see implications, you're realizing, oh my goodness, what they're talking about, there's a moreness beyond this, and there's a moreness, and the moreness connects to even more moreness, and there's so much moreness, it's overwhelming, right? There's this giant mass of moreness that we are talking about. I mean, just when we're doing this, it's a capital R reading of a book, and the book is about the moreness society, and it's deep, and it's involved, blah, 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 right? Tons and tons of moreness. Now, there's the awareness of this moreness. What does mentality of opposites automatically do? If something is not black, it must be white. If something is white, then what's different to it is kind of its opposite. Yes. So in other words, if I see moreness in you, mentality of opposite says what I have is now a lessness. And we've seen this with participants who were in their bubble of moreness and everything was great and wonderful. And then they came into contact and suddenly there was this massive moreness. They didn't realize it at first, but as we get into the program, they really realize how much moreness there is. And then they have a worldview collapse because they feel like, oh, I'm useless. I don't know anything. I've wasted my time, blah, 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 right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here, Beena. I'm in Norma. I'm wonderful. I'm still going. I don't know what made you think that. So I'm here. I just went to go and get some food. I'm just eating while we talk here. Just going to have some bagels with Marmite. No, I'm wonderful. All right. So now this perception of opposites. If I'm in contact with a moreness, and if I acknowledge it as a moreness, I'm acknowledging what my moreness has now become a lessness. But this is flawed thinking. This is absolute flawed thinking. And Ursula is again our example here. Yes. And also what she specifically is shared with, right? When Ursula becomes this aspirant, does all of her value that she had on her world as a business leader, as being successful, whatever, right? It's not that successful is not the issue, but she had competency, she had thoughtfulness, she had honesty. None of that goes away. But if you don't get caught into this comparison mindset, which goes along with mentality of opposites, you don't. She said, look, and she's told that the aspirants are courage to share from their position of expertise. Now, she gets very sophisticated and nuanced and says, I don't want to do that because there's problems. And she gets very, very, very sophisticated here. But nonetheless, it's still part of the whole system because there's no comparison, right? So you have value, share your value. Just because you have value and I've got a different value, that doesn't make your value not valuable. But in mentality of opposites, it's always more and less. And if there's a lot of moreness, well, then by comparison, minus nothing, and it makes it invaluable. This is flawed thinking. This is absolutely flawed thinking. Just because your value is relatively less doesn't make it invaluable. It's complete nonsense. But anyway, this whole way of impeccability and the new nobility, they don't want this comparison because of this exact problem. If you've got an abundant moreness, I'm happy to just learn from it. It doesn't invalidate me. It doesn't make me rubbish. Doesn't make me nonsense. Doesn't make me stupid. No. Doesn't make me bad. Doesn't make me useless. Doesn't make me invalid. No, 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 no. I have my own validity. You've got a ton of moreness that I can learn from. This is a gift. This is like, it's like saying, okay, you know what? I'm a millionaire. Oh, wonderful. I'm a millionaire. Off I go. La, 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 la. I'm a millionaire. Yippee, yay. I've always wanted to be a millionaire all my life. Okay. I see a door and a club. Oh, club, rich people club. Okay. I go inside there. Oh, rich people. Oh, yeah. I'm hanging out with rich people now. Oh, wonderful. Oh, yes. I'm a millionaire. Oh, I'm a multi-billionaire. Oh. Oh, Margaret. Billion is like 100,000 times more multi-billionaire. It's hundreds of millions. I've only got 1 million. Okay. Now suddenly I'm poor. In this mentality of opposites, right? By comparison, suddenly your million means nothing now. 2 minutes ago, you were thrilled and happy to be a millionaire. You were wealthy and full of the joys of the world. But now that you're in the billionaires club, now suddenly it's worthless. The money is still the same. A million is, it's tons of money. It's more than, you need for most things, right? It's plenty. It's abundance. Relatively, it's little. Everything is trivial compared to infinity and the universe. Everything, right? So when you get caught up in this trap of comparing, it's a fool's game. It's an absolute, utterly idiotic fool's game. Yeah. You're going to invalidate what is valuable simply through comparison, right? You can't do that. Yes. Yeah. Now, this is the one quote, very powerful quote in Way of Impeccability. I am nothing compared to the universe. However, I am something compared to nothing. Right? Don't make the mistake simply because you're nothing to compare to the universe that you are a nothing. No, you're not. You're a something compared to nothing. Yes, but this is the mentality of opposites and the comparative mindset. Yes, this is the mistake that it makes. It's very foolish thinking. Then this is what we want to avoid. These types of inefficient, ineffective, limited thinking that lead to all sorts of problems. Yes, we need to get out of that thinking. We need to out of that thinking and get sophisticated in our thinking. Yes, simply because you're a millionaire doesn't make me poor because I've got a million. Yes, right? No. And as a billionaire, can I appreciate your million? Of course I can. Would I like to have a million? Sure. Just because I'm a billionaire doesn't mean that I'm going to just throw away a million. No, a million is serious money. Yes. That's how I came to be a billionaire, because I appreciate the value of money. Yes. And I didn't waste it. I didn't throw it away. Right. So when it comes to people, this is the same thing. We're all millionaires, and it doesn't matter. We're all wealthy. The relative makes no difference. It's a fool's game to get into relativity. Yes, precisely. You're a part of the universe. So that means you're a super gazillion majillionaire, right? You're an amornissime. Amornissime. Exactly, Norma. It's a fool's game, this comparison. It's just all hierarchy nonsense. It comes from insecure people. Sorry, it's a very terrible thing that you foisted on us. In order to justify your insecurity, you've now come up with all these idiotic ideas and thoughts. Ego, status, superiority. It's a disease, superiority. It's a disease. It's a virus. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible mental disease. Yes. We need to understand it so we can not get caught up in it. Yeah. It corrupts so much. It corrupts so much. Yeah. Make sense, Beena? So mentality of opposites and comparative mindset. We have to be exceedingly, exquisitely careful of those two. Moreness of love, exactly. Love, like goodness, has no quantity. It's foolish to start quantifying love and goodness. Good is good. Doesn't matter how much or how little of it, it's good. Same with love. Why? Oh, life millionaires, correct. Exactly. Life billionaires, life trillionaires, life gazillionaires. Exactly. We all have this smallness, yes. And this is where we get to the philosophy of difference. On Nobelia, in Way of Impeccability, it is about celebrating difference, celebrating it. Not just acknowledging it or accepting it. No, celebrating it. I'm a millionaire and I go to the billionaires club with a Way of Impeccability and new nobility mindset. Man, this is fantastic. I'm in this room of billionaires. Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Moreness, fantastic. I love it. I celebrate it. I enjoy it. Huh? When you get caught up in comparison mindset, you're unable to enjoy moreness because moreness will always make you feel less. Really sad. Huh? And that's why where the people who perceive moreness but don't want to acknowledge it, because by acknowledge it in this thinking, they have to acknowledge their lessness. According to this false logic, it's idiotic logic. It's completely false. It's completely false. If you come to Way of Impeccability, we're going to celebrate your moreness. Is your moreness different to ours? Yes, of course it is. But that's just how life is, you know. I don't not love a baby because, well, what does the baby have compared to me? Nothing. Baby's an idiot. I love the baby idiot or the idiot baby, right? Why? Why do you love idiot babies, but you don't want to love yourself for not knowing? Bye-bye, Norma. We're going to go now soon, too. Bye, Norma. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Make sense, Beena? Why they don't want to acknowledge the moreness? Faulty thinking, faulty thinking. Comparative mindset, mentality of opposites, hierarchy, superiority paradigm. Huh?
Okay. Time to go now.
Oh.
Okay, Norma, thank you so much for being here, for sharing. And thank you, everyone, whoever is going to watch it later.
Yes.
And thank you, Syl, for sharing,
Yes.
elucidating.
Let me add
And
something.
thank you, Green, for
One moment.
Yes.
To anybody who wants to access the moreness that we are sharing. And it is a moreness. I'm not being egotistical to say that. It's just simply a fact. It's the reality. You don't have to give up your own moreness. There's no hierarchy. There's no comparisons. One of the reasons why we share, to show this alternative paradigm in which comparison, mentality of opposites, comparative thinking, none of this stuff exists. It's irrelevant. We're going to celebrate you. Do we have things to share that you don't know? Yes, of course. Does it make you invalid? Does it make you useless? Does it make you less? Does it make you rubbish? Does it make you nonsense? No, of course not. It's completely idiotic thinking. It doesn't exist here. So we aren't going to lose any of your value if you come and join. None at all. Right? Right, Beena?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is how we always start
Exactly.
in everything.
Wow. Wow. And
And we are aware that okay, many of our friends and other people, they are watching, and they are. We would love to hear your, and please do share your
absolutely.
perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Love.
Oh, yeah.
So there
Yeah.
is no hierarchy here.
No, no,
This is pure sharing. We can see that okay, we are
exactly.
getting views. People are watching it again and again. We are watching it. So
Yeah,
this is something, please share your ideas also. If it doesn't make
absolutely.
sense,
Absolutely. And this is precisely the place where you can share a view that you're not quite certain about. This is what we're trying to say. Yeah, it's a place where you can come and share and be completely and utterly mistaken. And that's the magic of it. You say, okay, why? Oh, I see. Oh, I never thought of that. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I missed that. Okay. Oh, I went. And then we learn. This is what we love to do. We learn. You can't learn if you're not willing to acknowledge that you can be wrong. Can't learn. So yeah, it's a magical situation. Also, Beena, I mentioned mentality of opposites and comparative mindset as thinking specifically, right? I mean, hierarchy is a belief, right? But the thinking technique is mentality of opposites, comparative mindset. Another thinking thing that why it inhibits people to acknowledge is reciprocity. People believe in this concept of reciprocity, and they think that if I get value from you, I have to be able to reciprocate. Yeah. Otherwise,
yes.
that's wrong and it won't work and it can't be. Nonsense. This is flawed thinking once again. It may be so in general in the world. This is so. It's not yes so. Yes. And all right. All right. If you feel you want to reciprocate, fine. Pay me a lot of money. Okay. That's going to make you feel. But see, not everybody has the money, and but again, so now I don't have the money. I said, you don't need money. You can come for free, whatever. If you don't have the money, that's fine. Get somebody else to pay for you, or some other way you can pay. Can help me with stuff, do things. There's all sorts of ways to pay. But you don't have to. This is the thing. That mindset thinks that you don't get anything for nothing. You always have to pay for stuff. This is the magic of sharing. Sharing pays for itself. Sharing not only pays for itself, but it rewards itself. It pays it like in bonus, in Moreness, right? You don't have to do anything. You providing me an opportunity to share. All right, cool. I get Moreness out of it. Yeah. It's a very difficult mindset to understand. So this mindset of reciprocity is another limiting factor why people see Moreness and don't want to acknowledge it. Right, Beena? Make sense? You muted, Beena.
Oh, I was saying yes.
Oh. Very good question you brought up, Beena. Very good question. Also, patience. To learn and do what we do. If you're in a mindset, I want it now, I want it quickly, I want it easily. What we do, capital R reading, takes patience, takes discipline, takes some forbearance sometimes. Not everybody wants to, oh, this is too slow, this is too long. No. I want to go for a weekend and be an expert. Right? Faulty thinking. Yeah.
Yes.
The implication of the Moreness that we share, by implication, it takes a lot to get there. Yes, it does. Is it impossible? No. But it does take a lot. It does take a substantial investment of time and energy and attention. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big deal. Right? Are you going to keep chasing those weekend fantasy ideas and never getting there? Which we see all the time. Many who have come to Way-of-Impeccability have gone away for weekends, weeks, even months, then gone to seminars and courses, all promising this, magical, rapid transformation, instant change. We want to put in the work. Nothing going to happen. Sorry. But, yeah, it's different. We do put in the work. Oh. All right. On that note, let's end it here, right, Beena? Anything to add?
Amazing session. Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Yes.
Then, see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Stop live stream.